I don't remember I've ever said that.
أبونا مينا محل الكوفي والدونتس ده لكل الناس وفي كل الصيامات.
You didn't answer the question.
I know, right? أصحاب كده.
Okay.
أنا مارينا عبد
وأنا كمان سارة ومعانا أبونا مينا
خادم كنيسة
كاهن كنيسة مجازي في فيلادلفيا. عرفنا على نفسك كده.
Okay. I was born in Alexandria, and we immigrated here to the United States in 1989. My family came together. We came to New York. We stayed in Brooklyn. So I was raised the majority of my life in Brooklyn. Studied, went to elementary school, middle school, high school, and college. All of that in Brooklyn. I served in the Church of St. George in Brooklyn. And I got married to my beautiful wife in 2007. And
You're just saying that because I'm here.
well, because it's also recorded. Because you might get to see it, you know. Yeah. We got married in 2007, and then we moved to New Jersey. And when I got ordained a priest in 2009, and then we moved to Pennsylvania after that. I studied psychology as my undergraduate degree, my bachelor's degree. And then after I became a priest, I did my master's in professional counseling. I did a graduate degree in biblical studies, and I'm finishing up my doctorate degree in pastoral care.
Wow. Have you ever cheated on a test before?
Well, we all know that cheating is wrong.
Yeah.
So I think the bottom line is that we shouldn't cheat, and we have to do better. So even if we struggle in life, we got to make sure that we fix our mistakes and we do better.
You didn't answer the question.
I know, right? I was just about to say. Have you ever cheated? Like, okay,
I did.
freshman year, I've
that was
cheated
my
on
answer.
my algebra quiz, and my teacher caught me. Have you cheated in high school?
Well, I've never gotten in trouble for it.
Oh, okay, but you cheated.
Well, I'm telling you, like there will be times when we're tempted to do something that we don't want to necessarily do, but we have to try to do better, and we have to improve from making mistakes in life, and we have to really strive to succeed in the right way, because that will catch up with us. Like if you cheat on an exam now, when you go to the next grade, you're going to struggle in your next grade, right? So you're going to have a hard time. And then if let's say you have a physician or a doctor who cheated through medical school, do you really want him to be your doctor, right? So we need to study, we need to do better, we need to do well, because it's going to help us. Sometimes we think about it as like, I need to pass this test. But it's not just about this test, it becomes a behavior that either takes over our lives, that we go through life thinking that I can cheat, on my exam, I can cheat on, in other areas of my life, I can cheat in playing a game, and that becomes just, something that we do because we resort to the easier way out.
كل صيام الناس اللي تحت مش هقول اسامي اكيد بيقولوا ان ابونا مينا محل الكوفي والدونتس ده لكل الناس وفي كل الصيامات.
I don't remember I've ever said that. محل الكوفي
والدونتس.
لما الكوفي مش فطاري.
فطار.
الكوفي black coffee.
لا مش بلاك كوفي يعني.
With creamer and.
طب حطوا creamer.
With creamer.
Don't put milk. Non-dairy creamers is fasting, right? The powder creamer is fasting. So downstairs, the only creamer they have is the powder creamer.
Yeah.
And the powder creamer is non-dairy, so it's a fasting.
How about for us? مش محلل لنا حاجة؟
No. تصيام تصوموا عادي وتشربوا الحاجات. You know what it is? If you focus on fasting in the right way that it's supposed to be practiced, right? So It's not just, oh, am I eating or am I drinking or am I, what am I trying to do? Because once I go through the process of fasting, what is fasting going to make me become? So it's all about what this process is going to get me to be after I'm done going through it. So if you take it easy and you're laid back and you're not disciplining yourself, you're like, oh, this is okay, short lemon here is fine, a piece of cheese here is okay, then that's not going to make me a disciplined person. And it makes you a disciplined person, not just in fasting, but you become a disciplined person in other areas of your life. You're disciplined when it comes, against sin. You're disciplined against, cheating on your tests. You're disciplined against, different areas, anger, right? Any area of your life that there is some type of temptation, you're disciplined against falling in that temptation. If you fall, then you rise up again. So that's the point of fasting. The fast is not about what am I going to eat or what am I going to drink. It's how I'm going to become a more disciplined person, having self-control, having spiritual growth in a relationship with Christ through this process. So there's nothing wrong with coffee. Coffee is a bean. It's a plant, right? It's plant-based. So you can drink coffee, but don't put milk on it. But I've never given like a general حل كده for anybody to do whatever they want.
What was your favorite game to play when you were young?
I don't know, like sports. I enjoyed playing sports. So I used to play basketball. I used to play soccer. I used to play ping pong. I still play ping pong. Yeah. So in church we played ping pong all the time. We had a ping pong table in church. And when I was younger at home in Egypt, when we were little kids, we used to, remove the tablecloth off the table and put a piece of like wood, and then we would play ping pong on the
so your favorite
dining room table. So we played ping pong. I like to play ping pong now when we have like time to do that.
Yeah.
This summer I was able to play some basketball with the kids in summer camps, and we played basketball. So we enjoy playing sports. It's a good thing to keep active and play sports. Well, there's a lot of virtues that you can practice to attain. The church teaches us that the most important, or the mother of all virtues, is humility. Right. So if we are humble, then we learn how to be obedient to God. If I'm humble, I learn how to forgive. If I'm humble, I know how to love somebody unconditionally, even though they may not love me back. So humility is the mother of all virtues. And if we are humble, if we humble ourselves in the sight of God, then God gives us grace and gives us the ability to do things that we would never think that we would do without His grace in our life.
What does a spiritual person mean?
What does a spiritual person mean? A spiritual person is someone whose entire focus is on God, on what pleases God, and how he can live life on earth as the ambassador of God on earth, to do what is pleasing in the sight of God, to pursue a path to the kingdom of God, to know that our citizenship is not of earth but is of heaven. So our goal is to get to heaven. So a spiritual person is the one that continues to focus on that goal and takes the proper steps to get there.
مين أول بطريرك افتقد أولاده في الخير؟
I would assume Pope Kyrillos. And I think it would be very difficult. Before that, it was very difficult because transportation, there's no planes and all that kind of stuff.
السؤال بالعربي.
بتقول مين أول بطرك اهتم بشعبه في المهجر. So I say that Pope Kyrillos is the first one to do that. In the sense of an organized ministry. Mm-hmm. People started immigrating out of Egypt, and then after that, Pope Shaheid, and then there were priests who would leave Egypt and go to these countries and then serve the people there. And then, I would assume that Pope Kyrillos could have started the process, but then Pope Shaheid kind of picked up. Continued it on, and then of course, as you have the advancement in the technology and airplanes and transportation, all that kind of stuff. It made it easier, and as more people immigrate out of Egypt and we came to America and other parts of the world, and that also increased the ministries there, and then Pope ordained bishops and priests and and so forth. And now Pope Tawadros is also doing a wonderful job by continuing that as he ordains bishops to make the service more organized. So he's breaking the United States into more dioceses, making some smaller areas for more focused service. So the bishops would concentrate on a smaller region, and then they have their own churches and priests who would do the services in their churches and so forth.
What was your dream when you were growing up?
What was a dream that I had?
Yeah.
Like just a dream that I woke up.
Like for me, when I was
had a
young.
dream?
Like for me, when I was young, I was like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a dentist.
Oh.
Like.
I think every age, I had different dreams.
Tell me about all these ages.
I remember that when I was like a small child and we would play, I had when we watch like TV shows or cartoons or things like that, you always try to be like the different characters that you like. So I did have like this idea of like becoming a person who was like a police officer, doctor, / engineer. He was like everything in one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a Superman type of thing. So I remember that. Yeah, it's like, and he can do anything. He'd be like an astronaut, in space. When somebody's like dying, he can like come to the rescue. So like it was just like a more of like
a little bit of everything.
An all-inclusive superhero type of thing.
Not bad.
حد سألنا السؤال ده وقال لنا نسأله القدسك لو حد نفسه يساعد الناس ويغير العالم للأحسن يبتدي منين وازاي؟
يبتدي بنفسه هو. In order for you to try to change what's around you, you have to change yourself. In order for you to make an impact on others, you have to make an impact on your life first. So Jesus says you're the light of the world. How can I shine in the world if I don't have that light inside of me? Right? So if I'm shut off, I'm not turned on as the light, then I'm not going to be able to be that light that helps people find their path or guide them in the right direction or protect them from the darkness that's around them. So in order for you to make an impact on the world, you have to first make yourself that person who is fit to make that impact on the world. So before you try to change others or change your circumstances, try to change yourself. Because regardless of where you are in life, you're always going to have hard times and you're going to have difficulties and you're going to have people who are not going to like you. You're going to have all those different things that are going to be problematic for you. But the main point is, how can I be above the circumstances? Because the circumstances are there, right? Where the seasons, right? You have winter, summer, fall, and spring, and every year you have those 4 seasons. So when you get to winter, if you have worked hard in spring and worked hard in summer and worked hard in fall, when the winter comes, you're prepared for the winter, right? Everything that you've accumulated over the months and over the seasons, the winter comes and you're like, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I have all my tools, I have everything ready, and if the storm comes, I'm protected because I've thought ahead and I made myself suitable for the season versus trying to change the season for me. So if somebody wants to help, first they have to be equipped to help. How am I going to help someone if I myself am not there? Right? How can I teach someone if I don't know the knowledge? How can I feed someone if I don't have the food to give them? So if we want to help others the right way, we have to first work on ourselves. If we want to change the way people do things in the world, to change the way that I do things, the way I believe things, the way that my relationship is with God. So if we really want to be good ambassadors to show God to others, I have to make sure that God's in my life. Otherwise, I would be a very unsuccessful worker for God.
طبعا عارفين انك بتحب القرايه.
Okay.
تنصح الشباب يقروا كتاب ايه؟ مش معنى الكتاب ده.
Okay. There's a lot of really good books. I remember one of the first books that I was really that really impacted my life was a book called The Confessions by St. Augustine. And I was at a monastery in California, and I met this this young man who was telling me about his life. He was telling me how like he had he had a very bad past, and he was doing drugs and he was doing all those different things. And he read the book of the Confessions of St. Augustine, and it changed his life. Okay? And then he said, I want you to read this book, and we can't talk again until you read the book. So I went back home. He was from Canada, and like a few days later, I get a shipment in the mail, and it's the book, right? And inside the book, he writes like a wonderful message to me, and he says, please make sure you read this book. Here's my phone number, but don't call me until you finish it. Right? So I read it, and I was in high school, maybe like in the beginning. I don't remember exactly when, but I was in high school, and I like to read before that. Like I read for the competition and speech, but that was like the first book that I actually read because I wanted to read something, and that kind of like started that love for reading, and I read it, and then I contacted him. I was in Canada, and then we hung out afterwards, and so it was really nice, and I really kind of made an impact in my life, because the Confessions is basically St. Augustine is talking about his life, the difficulties, his faults, his sins, how he went through the process of changing, and even after he wanted to come to God, but then he still fell in sin, and like it wasn't easy. Sometimes in our understanding of the saints is like the saints were just, they didn't do anything wrong, right? Saint Anthony and Saint George and Saint Mina, we look at them as these figures that nothing is wrong with them, right? They've never committed sin, they never had any problems. But when you look at the story of St. Augustine, much like the story of St. Moses and David Strong, the story speaks about their place of weakness and a place of struggle, how they were not good people and how they wanted to be good people, and even though they sinned great sins, then they went through the process. It took them years, but they finally got there. So I recommend The Confessions of St. Augustine. I think it's a wonderful book. It really touched my heart because it was very practical. Like it was in a place where I can relate. Not necessarily the same sins and trials, but I can relate that I'm struggling in my life. There are sins in my life that that took years maybe to overcome, or things that we do that we keep struggling in and we keep falling, and you try to I'm gonna give up. But that book was kind of like, okay, let's make it real, practical. It's not easy, it's hard, it's gonna take years, but you're gonna get there if you walk with God and you have faith in God. Get the English one. The Arabic one is so small, but get the English.
I can find it on Amazon.
Okay.
Don't read it yet.
Okay.
اخر مره سافرت مكان ندمت عليه وفين؟
Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever suffered in Italia.
Egypt, maybe?
Egypt?
Maybe because it's hot and the weather.
Last time I went to Egypt, I had a good time.
Okay.
It wasn't a bad experience. I've been traveling lately.
How many states have you traveled?
How many states have I traveled to? I would say about 25 states.
Wow.
Yeah. We're looking to hit all 50 states. We have a collection of mugs in our house. Starbucks has these Been There series mugs. So every state that we go to, we go get a mug. And then we have about 25. Yeah. These are the states that we did together as a family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Before that, we must have done others, but as a family, we've done 25
Wow,
together. Yeah. So we have only 25 to go.
Wow.
the hard ones.
The far.
Far or states that you're like, why am I going there?
Yeah.
Why would I go there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a place that I went to that I regretted going to.
Maybe you went to New York and you regret going to.
Yeah, I don't like going to New York anymore.
Oh, I thought.
Yeah, I don't regret it necessarily, but I just don't like going back to New York. It's just so much traffic. The parking is not as good, you know.
Yeah.
I've always I always get a ticket when I go into New York because they have the speed. Yeah, they have all these speed cams and red light cams.
Yeah.
And so every time I go into New York, I get a ticket in the mail after a couple of days. Oh, you were speeding here, whatever, you know.
So you regret going to New York? Well, you don't regret, but
I don't regret because I enjoy going.
Yeah.
To see my family, you know, go back to my church. I don't necessarily say I regret going, but I don't know.
احنا بناخد صورة بس في الآخر.
ناخد صورة،
Please, yeah.